Hello, my name is Brittany and welcome to Family Fridays Paint Night. A few words before we begin. Thank you for your continued interest and support for this workshop. You can expect a new video every third Friday of the month for the foreseeable future until we can resume classes in person at the Art and Spirituality Center. Speaking of which, there are other classes being held virtually if you are interested in taking any of those. I'll leave the link to our virtual calendar in the description box below. As a reminder, my class was made to promote bonding between family and friends. You do not need to be an artist to enjoy art. My art isn't perfect, so don't think yours needs to be either. To all those participating in this activity, I want you to try your best and don't worry about the outcome. My hope is for you to let go, get lost in the artistic process, and forget about what's currently happening in the world, even just for a little bit. One last thing before we begin. Feel free to pause, rewind, fast forward, mute, or do anything you need in order to follow along with this video. I normally take over 3 hours to complete a painting, even though my class runs about 2.5 hours. For the sake of time and to make a short video, the clips you see of me painting are sped up significantly. Please, by all means, relax and take your time. I hope you enjoy. Let's get started. Here is what we will be painting for July of 2021. Disclaimer, this is not my original artwork as I found it somewhere on the internet. I do not take credit for this concept and I wish I could find the original artist to give credit. Think of this as a study of the original artwork. Even though the 4th of July has passed, here we are celebrating the USA with a scene of yellow flowers inside mason jars decorated to look like the American flag. You could save this painting for next year, keep it up year-round, or display it as you support Team USA during the Olympics, which begins very soon. I know I will. Just to let you know, I did some last-minute additions to my finished painting off camera. Here is what it looked like before. I made the choice to add some yellow 3D flowers to fill up more space. During this video, you will see instructions of just the painting and not the additional embellishments. Feel free to take artistic control, change the colors, make additions or adjustments, or change it up completely. The choice is yours. Alright, let's talk about paint. We'll be using acrylic paint for this activity. You can use the fancier, more expensive paints if you want to. For this project, I'll be using paints you can find at your local craft store or even Walmart that are less than $1. We'll need a few colors: brown, red, yellow, sky blue, blue, white, and black. We'll need a few brushes today: a large flat brush, a medium flat brush, small round brush, and a thin detail brush. Other optional materials: a pencil to sketch everything out, and if you plan on decorating your painting more like me, you will need some decorative paper flowers. Some other materials we will need: something to put under the canvas or canvas board, such as a tablecloth or newspaper. You can also use a matte board like this one I've used several times. Of course, you need something to paint on. I personally will be using a canvas board, 12 by 16 specifically. You can also use an actual canvas of any size too. Then we have our paints. You'll need a plate to put the paint on. You can also use a palette if you have one. A water cup to clean your paintbrushes. And lastly, a paper towel or an old towel. I'm using an old towel that I have used for other paintings, as you can see here. Okay, order of operations, how this painting will go. First, we're going to start with the background. About a quarter of the page down, I'm going to, with my sky blue color, draw a line, and then I'm going to do the background in blue and the table in like a reddish brown color. Next, we're going to draw and map out our jars. The jar edges are measuring about 1 inch from the page, and then each of the 3 jars measure about 4 inches. The top of the lids are a little over halfway of the canvas. Next, we will be working on the 3 jars. I'm going to paint them all a solid color and then work on all of the shadows. Next are the embellishments. I'm going to draw and paint the stars and the stripes. Next, we're going to add the stems, paint all of our little flowers, and the last little detail, if you need some space, I'm going to add some little curly cubes. Okay, let us begin. So first, again, we're going to start off with the background. I'm going to pour out some of my sky blue, white, and a little bit of brown. I also should be pouring out a little bit of red too for the table. With my large flat brush, I am going to measure, that's about halfway, about a quarter of the page. I'm going to draw a nice little blue line there, and that's just separating my blue background from the table. Doesn't have to be perfect or anything. Next, I'm just going to go up and down. Here I'm painting my edges because I like the corners of the canvas to be covered too. That is just a personal choice. But right now, I'm just going to make it look a little bit rustic, a little like a wash of a background. So I'm going to dip in with my sky blue, my white, and my brown and just go back and forth. It actually works well if you leave it kind of like this to where you see the background white of the canvas. It makes it look a little watercolor, makes it rustic. But here I'm just going to add in some white just to lighten it up a little bit. Of course, you can change the colors of the background. You can make it purple, you can make it orange, you can make it whatever you want. I like blending things, of course, as you know by now. So I took my time on this part just simply because I was having fun. But you don't have to take a lot of time on this, no big deal. Okay, after the blue part has dried, I'm going to work on the table now that the jars will be sitting on. So I'm going to try to follow that original blue line as best as I can. For the most part, the jars will be covering all of this, so you don't need to make it perfectly straight or anything. That's just a personal thing. I was trying my best. But first I am going to paint it my dark brown and then add a little bit of red just to give it like a red wood color. Okay, next we are going to draw and map out the jars. Normally I draw off camera, so this is a treat that we get to draw together. So I'm measuring an inch inside of the canvas. That's going to be the outside edges of the two jars that are on the outside. And each jar is about 4 inches, and that is what I measured. Of course, yours can be a little bit different. So right now I am just drawing all of those lines, and the bottom of the jar is just a little bit above the edge of the canvas. So I'm just going to do like a little rounded bottom. And next I'm going to work on the shoulders where it starts curving towards the top of the lid. So it's just a little curved line, kind of looks like a straw or like a little kind of candy cane shape. And that stops just a little bit past the halfway mark of the canvas. And then I'm going to draw a line that is connecting it. Kind of looks like a soda can right here actually. And it's not a straight line, it kind of rounds out a little bit towards the bottom. And then from there, I'm just going to make a little bit of a line, and that's just to give it a little bit of where the lip of the lid is, like the little part where you twist and turn on the lid. So it's not too tall or anything, but I'm going to do those lines, and the same at the top. That top line is curved a little bit down as well. Okay, jars are looking great, so now we're just going to paint all of them a solid color. So the first one to the left is going to be my regular blue color, not the sky blue, but just my regular old blue, and then the other two are going to be white. I did do a few coats of this. You're going to see the first coat that I did, and then off camera I think I did maybe 1 or 2 additional ones. So take your time. You might need to let some layers dry between, so go grab a snack, enjoy the music, pause. It is up to you. So right now we are just painting our jars. Alright, now I'm going to move on to the shadows and highlights of the blue jar. So I'm pouring out some black paint, and I'm basically going to be switching between the black paint and that regular blue that we painted the jar with. So towards the left side of the jar, I went ahead and I mixed that blue and black together to make it look kind of like a little gray, and I'm going to go all the way to the edge and give it that dark color. And then towards the middle part, which is the rounded part, the outermost part, that's where that regular blue is going to be. And I'm going to try my best to do that exact same technique on the right side. So it looks like a shadow on the left and right side, and the blue, which is the highlight part, in the middle. And now with my small round brush, I'm going to dip in with my white and a little bit with my black as well, and just do some lines coming from the top of the lid, and this serves as the little twisty part of the jar. So now I'm going to map out the stripes on the jars. They're both going to be the same. So I'm going to map out 3 even lines, and when I divide that, that will equal 4 stripes. So here's the second line, and then the third line. So I see 1, 2, 3, 4 thick stripes, and then that top twisty part of the lid, that will also be its own color. So I'm going to do that on both of the jars, and then I will start with the red since we already have our white base down. So the twisty part of the lid, I will do red, then that first stripe white, followed by red, white, and red again. And this, just because I am very particular about things, this honestly took the most time for me to do. It could take you just a couple minutes, but it took me quite a while. So right now you're going to see me do it as best as I can, but it did get a little bit messy and I wanted my lines to be a little more clean. So off camera, I went ahead and did some touch-ups. So on the next clip, when we're all nice and done, it will look a little bit different from the last time you saw it. But right now, just go ahead and work on our stripes. Okay, so these are my finished jars so far. Now we're going to add just a little bit more detail to the ones that are striped. So I'm going to get some black and water it down, probably like a light gray color, honestly. And I'm just going to do some shadows. So these jars are a little bit on the lighter side, especially with the white. So similar to how we did the black one, we need to put in some shadows right there to make it look like the jar is round. So on the sides, I'm starting on the left side, I'm just gonna very lightly with my watered down paint, kind of watercolor some gray on there just to again give it that shadow. I'm gonna do that to the edges on the left and right side of both of the jars, and also towards the bottom to make it look a little bit more round. This is optional. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. It does get a little bit tricky, and I did really enjoy how my jars looked before I added all these shadows. It was just all nice and crisp and clean. Love that look. So you can leave it like that if you want to, but I'm trying to make it just look a little more realistic. So I'm adding in those shadows right now. So right now I'm just going to add in the shadows, and once that is dry, we're just going to outline it a little bit. Alrighty, now we are going to work on outlining the jars just a little bit more. So with my small brush or my small detail brush, whatever the thinnest one you have, between all of the jars, so right here the blue and the striped, and then between the two striped ones, I'm going to make a line just to outline that part, and also do a line under all three of the jars. I'm going to do a little shadow under all three of the jars, and then on the jars, like how I did just now, I'm going to connect it all the way up to the twisty part of the lid. And then after that, similar to how we did the blue jar, I'm going to go in with some white and black paint and just do a couple of lines on that lid to make it look like it's the twisty part of the jar. Alright, we're almost done. So now I am going to draw and map out the stars. There's no number. I didn't count out how many stars or anything like that. I kind of just put them together where I had space. So some of them take up more space than others, and if I had some room, I filled it in with more. You can do as many or as little as you want. I didn't even think about doing 13 for the original 13 colonies. Probably should have done that. I think I have 11 on here, but it's completely up to you. You can use stickers, you can not do stars, you can do polka dots, you can do whatever you want. But now we are just sketching out our stars. And now that we have our stars all sketched out, I'm simply going to paint them. So I have my small detail brush or my small round brush, and I do my stars. I can't draw stars by just triangle, triangle, triangle. I could never do that. So you're going to see here, I do my stars the old-fashioned way, where it's a line, then another diagonal line, and eventually it connects and makes a star. You do whatever you need to do to make your star. So right now I'm just filling in my stars. I did give these a couple of layers. And also at the very, very end of my painting, I actually added some glitter paint to it to make it look all sparkly, and I love that. Such a good decision. So right now, all we're doing is painting the stars on our blue mason jar. next we are going to work on the flowers. So each jar I mapped out gets about 3 flowers. So you can do a nice curved line in different directions, different heights, just to fill up more space. And at the ends of all of our stems, we're going to go ahead and map out the circle part of the center of the flower. I went ahead and poured out some yellow paint. So this first layer, I'm just basically mapping out how I want my petals of the flowers to fall. So you can do as many petals as you want. I change it up a bit. Sometimes there's 5 on a flower, sometimes there's like 8 or 9 on a flower. It was just whatever I could fit. So I'm going to do that right now. And then back and forth, I'm going to be switching between yellow, white, and brown just to give it a little bit more of dimension, because as you can see right here, all of these yellow petals just blend in with each other, and I need to give the illusion that there are different petals. So that's where the brown comes in, just to serve as a little bit of shadow. So right now, this is what we're doing. We are just painting our flowers, switching off between yellow, white, and brown. I chose to do the yellow color based off of the original inspirational picture. You can do different colors. You can do colors of the rainbow, as many colors as you want. You can use artificial flowers for everything, like how I added at the end. You can do whatever you want. So this part is one of the last steps, and this might take you a little bit of time to do. So just relax, have fun, enjoy the music, and I will see you when we are ready to do our last steps. Alright, so now the very last steps with our small round brush, we're just going to fill in the centers of the flowers with brown, and then we are also going to outline all of our stems in the brown. And I just felt like I had room for something more, probably not a flower, but I didn't want to add green and add a leaf or anything. So with that same brown, I just added a couple of little curls just to serve as another little windy stem. Alright, so this is the final painting of what we did thus far, and I just felt like I still had a lot of space at the top and something that the little curly cues did not fill. So I have a bunch of paper craft flowers from previous projects, and I picked out some of the yellow ones and I just played with it and I kind of put it in those spaces, kind of covering up those little curly cues, and I loved the way that it looked. I apologize, I did off camera. This was a last minute decision to do, but I really like how it looked, so this is a nice multimedia piece. And that is it, my friends. Good job if you made it this far and completed the painting. I'm happy with my finished product and I hope you are with yours too. If your painting looks different from mine, that is totally fine. As you know, I miss everyone and I really wish I were with my Family Friday class painting alongside them. I'm also happy to know that more people have had the chance and opportunity to do art safely at home and on their own time. I hope these videos bring you joy and you are able to relax and not worry about the current events of the world, even just for a little bit. Please stay safe, have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next time.